Welcome to another edition of the Trainerize Collective, where we share nuggets of professional wisdom from the best in the fitness industry for you to learn, get inspired, try, test, and grow your own business. Thank you guys at home for joining us. My name is Nathan Farish, and I'll be your host today. And I'm hoping I can share some insights here along with Michelle and Amanda. And with that spirit in mind, we've lined up two of our favorite guests to help you guys handle the part of your business that you likely dread, which is business financials. I know I certainly don't love that. So please join me in welcoming Michelle Riley, trainer and nutrition coach and owner of Fierce and Fit PT, and Amanda Campbell, certified financial planner for modern women. Now, what you probably don't know is that the two of them are sisters and that they founded a project together called the Health and Wealth Sisters 360-degree action plan. Find it on Amazon. And it's a beautiful combination of principles applied to the two very important domains of life. This is going to be very good. So Michelle, Amanda, welcome, and thank you guys so much for joining us today. Before we jump into our topic, why don't you guys give us a little bit of a backstory about the both of you?
You want to go, Michelle?
All right, I'll go first. So thank you so much for that wonderful introduction, Nathan. Yes, I've been training, since I was 18, 32 now. Sometimes the math evades me. But I actually started with in-person training in big box gyms. Then I transitioned into opening my own studio back in Maryland. And then I met my husband who was in the military. So we started moving around and I had to shut my studio down and I started doing traveling training, hours on end, driving to people's houses with all the equipment in my car. And then we moved to another location where just nothing was happening. Radio was silent. So I just had to make the decision. How do I keep my online my business going afloat with training, doing what I love, and helping the people that I can? So that's when I transitioned to online training. And that's where Fierce and Fit was born about 5-6 years ago. And I've been full-time online training ever since. And then my sister and I'll kind of let her take it away in a little bit, but my sister and I kind of realized we both had the same clients, the same client avatar, which is modern professional women. So me being the health gal and her being the wealth gal, we kind of blended the two together. And Amanda
created the Health and Wealth Sisters. Yeah, it's been fun. So I'm a certified financial planner with Wealthspire Advisors. And a senior vice president there. And I have just always had this innate passion for guiding women to their own financial empowerment. So I specialize in women going through transition, whether that's divorce or widowhood, and also specialize in helping just awesome, powerful women, so business owners, just kind of that professional modern woman. And then also women who are part of a couple and the couple really believes that, a woman has a valuable seat at the wealth management table, because unfortunately that's not as common as you'd think. So like Michelle said, we both realize that we service the same amazing modern woman as a client. And if there's one thing that we should have instilled in people, instilled in women, and we do now, is that health and wealth are so intricately related. You just can't have one without the other. So hopefully we can talk to you a little bit about that today.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. The principles that I've seen in the Rich Dad, Poor Dads of the world, those types of books, just so closely align with the fitness principles that we preach every day as coaches. So I think you're right. There's lots to dive into there. So with that being said, we could take this a lot of ways, but I just have a few questions that I'll lead with. But as the conversation flows, maybe we pop in some other questions. So what does financial freedom mean to you both?
So for me as a trainer now being online, I no longer have to trade my time for money. So it's so much easier for me to acquire new clients, but again, not having to wake up at the butt crack of dawn or going bed to bed super, super late like I used to. So it's the freedom of being able to grow my income limitlessly. So that is really what it means to me. And then having my sister as my financial planner, helping me put my sources of income in investing places and savings so that I can grow as I grow my business.
Mm-hmm. And I think financial freedom, I always say it means something different to all of my clients. I know for me, it means, just like Michelle said, not trading my time for money, right? Like having the freedom to make decisions with how I want to spend my day, you know, meeting clients and talking to them when I see fit. But also just fun things like going on vacation with my family and, you know, spending time with my kids and just not really letting work be the crux of my life. I love what I do. I love what I do, but just having that financial freedom to say work is a passion and I do it because I love it and it makes me good money, not I have to go to work every day. Right. I think there's such a difference in that. And yeah, I think exactly what Michelle said, just the time for money and not waking up at all hours. I mean, you appreciate life so much more that way.
Well, I think it's maybe a shameless plug towards ABC Trainerize here, but that's really what online training has done for so many coaches that were slammed in the gym, myself included. Yeah. And you too. So that was initially why I left the in-person experience for so long and jumped into the tech world. And while I'm still doing a little bit of it, it's been night and day in terms of the freedom that I feel and in terms of the ability that I have to walk in at like 10 p.m. or 10 a.m. rather. I can just go for a coffee and just not have to worry about somebody else at that time. So I think you've hit it spot on for probably most coaches watching this. So I guess let's dive into something a little more practical. I guess it would help to start by defining the problem at hand, perhaps. So what are the biggest obstacles achieving financial freedom that you typically see?
As a fitness professional, one of the obstacles that I face is, you know, sometimes one month is busier than the other. That's just a normal thing that happens as like an entrepreneur as well. So you really need to be able to know your value is one of the parts of that, I should say, and know when you need to increase your prices and give yourself a raise. I think that's a really important thing to talk about that I've talked about in another Trainerize webinar, you know, because we work for ourselves. So we need to be able to give ourselves raises as we go to, you know, live the life that we want. And then another thing is making sure that you're saving and investing those things so that you can have what my sister calls a rainy day fund for those months that are slower than others.
Yeah, I would definitely piggyback off that and say for a lot of my entrepreneurial women clients, you know, you're so busy doing the doing every day. And I have to remind them, you are going to have a slow month. It just happens in any industry, in any business you're in. You shouldn't take it personally, right? Even in the financial planning world, there are slow months. People don't want to talk about their money in summer. They want to spend it. They want to go on vacations, right? You have to have a nice rainy day fund, a nice nest egg kind of building up in the background. So when those slow months happen, you are not completely freaking out. And I feel like that's kind of one of the biggest obstacles I see to financial freedom is ignoring creating that rainy day fund, especially when things are going really well. So I just kind of remind people, build that up, leave it in the background and leave it alone. That's a rainy day fund.
Do you have like a specific strategy towards doing that you recommend?
So I tell my clients save about 4 to 6 months of your income and expenses to a rainy day fund. So for instance, let's say you know you spend $5,000 a month on expenses. I would try to save $30,000. But you know, let's say you make $10,000 a month and it would just feel better to save $60,000. That's a good goal too. So again, either 4 to 6 months of income or expenses, whichever is kind of higher or makes you feel more comfortable. But you know, your business cycle, gosh, if it lasts longer than 6 months in a rut, you're probably not doing it right. Yeah, different conversation.
Yeah, there we go.
Now, Michelle, on your side, specifically for fitness business owners, what are the most recurring struggles that you're seeing?
The recurring struggles, again, kind of just going off of what we just talked about was the flow for fitness professionals, especially if you work, you know, on your own or you have your own business, which is a lot of us. It's just that highs and lows of month by month. So that is the biggest thing. And then again, just knowing your worth. So some people will be like, well, I told this person I was going to offer this discount. And then I told this person I would offer this discount because my price was too high. I'm like, whoa, whoa, whoa. So really working on your confidence in your selling ability and your own value. And again, what I just said was the, you know, the influx of those months of selling or of your own.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a big one. I think we always just want to help people, and it's tough to relate back the value that we actually deliver people. So feeling comfortable with increasing your prices is probably a big one, biggest one that I've heard just speaking to coaches. So I guess, Amanda, we touched on this a little bit, but hearing some of these tough experiences, um, sounds like the rainy day fund would be one of the places you start. Let's say we've gone through that. What would be another strategy that you'd look at
Yeah,
next?
so I find a lot of times, business owners, especially if you have an online presence, right? And you're kind of just doing the doing, you forget about retirement. So I just say that's a really easy place to start. And, even with Michelle, that was one of the very first places we started when she really got up and humming with her online business and all that was, okay, now that everything is set, you have an income coming in the front door. You as an entrepreneur need to think about your own tomorrow. So, you should probably sit down and speak with a financial advisor, a financial professional about what retirement savings vehicle makes the most sense for you, whether that's a Roth account, a solo 401k, a simple plan. There are so many things. I don't have to go into them right now, but just remember as an entrepreneur, you have to take care of your own tomorrow after you get done taking care of today. And I think it's a place that I see that gets ignored a lot because it's easy to not think about tomorrow.
Totally.
True. Yep.
And I guess this would be a good chance to maybe dive into an example because I'm thinking along lines of a fitness professional. Can you think of any clients that you've worked with recently, either of you, that would be a good example of how you broke down their problem and built out a strategy for them? I'm thinking more in the short term, maybe than retirement. Like if I'm an entrepreneur and I'm trying to figure out my finances, like how do I start really? Like, is there any examples that come to mind?
Michelle, I don't know if you want to answer first from a client perspective from your side, and then I can kind of fill in the blanks.
So I am actually also a business coach specifically for online trainers who want to, transition, some of their business online, if not the entire part of their business online. So having said that, I've worked with a coach before who had the same exact thing like me. Hey, Michelle, what are you doing to save up for your retirement, for your investments, for this? And, that was actually the first time that someone's asked me that because it just came so naturally because Amanda's my sister and Amanda says, all right, now that you're doing this, you need this, this, this. I'm like, okay, thanks, Amanda. So I was able to then have that coach talk to my sister. I got them into communication because she had her studio. She had her online presence. She had her online studio. So I was like, all right, I'm not the one to be giving you this financial plan. So I handed it to my sister who kind of set her up with that. So I can kind of let Amanda take away that.
Yeah. And I think the important part was Michelle helped that person to think through goals. How much do I want to be making each month? Right. I think you need to have realistic goals, and then you need to have goals that are kind of what we call big, hairy goals, right? Like they scare you, but with work and persistence, you can get there. So I always say, let's start with kind of budgeting on your real goals. So if you say, my goal is to make $5,000 a month, okay, what are the immediate expenses that come off of there? And is there anything left over? And if there is something left over, is there a new piece of equipment you need, or a new platform you need, new software, new website, blah, 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 right? Because when there's leftover, that's kind of where the magic happens. It's really, really tough to kind of keep propelling yourself forward when it's, when you're basically paycheck to paycheck, especially as an entrepreneur. And I can appreciate that. It feels tough. You're relying on yourself. So, sometimes you think, gosh, I just need to put my nose to the grindstone. One more client, one more client. I remind people too, are you working as efficiently as you should be, or you could be? I know, Michelle, you should probably talk about how you're such a huge proponent for active and passive income. That's a huge part of financial plan and financial freedom. If you have passive income, there's this income, which is, and I don't want to say it's easy, but I think it's so attainable on an online platform like Trainerize. You can have this passive income coming to you in the background that you're not nose to the grindstone on. You need to be nose to the grindstone on that active income. So I think, Michelle, I think you should really touch on how you help clients with that, because that's huge.
That's a big one. So when as a business coach, when I'm helping these online trainers, I'm always like, all right, you have your one-on-one high ticket online training, custom nutrition coaching, online training, habit-based coaching, what have you. Great. That's wonderful. That's your high ticket, but you can't always rely on those month to month. Like, all right, I know I'm going to sell 5 new clients. I know I'm going to do this. That's why you have to have your passive income. So your passive income, I call them like your signature program. So that can be, for instance, in Fierce and Fit, that's my 6-week shred. And then it becomes a monthly program. I've built it once in the Trainerize platform. I don't have to do anything else. It's not as high ticket and not as high value as my one-on-one, but it's there for people. And again, they click and they buy it. And I literally am making money while I sleep. I don't have to do a consultation call. I don't have to communicate with that person all the time. So I have that. And then also your affiliates. So for example, if you have partnered with some kind of, meal delivery system or Amazon or any kind of ebooks or things like that. All of these little things add up that are in the background that they might not be like your cash cow of the month, but as you start bringing those forms of passive income in, they're going to build over time so that you don't have to solely rely on your active income each month.
I really like what you touched on there. So I guess on the flip side of things, let's say somebody's already established. Let's say they've gone down that path and they've built out a really solid system. Where do they go from here? Like, how would you grow or invest that disposable income that you were talking about, Amanda?
Yeah. So like I said, if you already have a well-established business, things are going well for you, there's surplus. Again, please make sure that you have a retirement plan in place. Like, I can't stress that enough. Unfortunately, in my line of business, I get the 80-year-old grandma that comes to me and says, I'm living off Social Security and that's not enough. And it's not enough, right? You need, as a business owner, you have to rely on you and you have to be thinking about those things. So again, if there's surplus, you're established, that's kind of number one. And then number two, right? I think a beautiful place is, do you need anything else to take your business to the next level, right? Reinvesting in yourself and your business, I can't think of a better way to spend surplus dollars. So I'm a huge proponent when I speak with my clients who are business owners to just say, is there anything else you need? Professional development, personal development, right? Do you need something? Maybe you need a life coach. Maybe you're stuck on something and you really should spend a couple grand to talk to somebody and say, what could I be doing better? Right? I think there are great places to invest in your business that may not necessarily be tangible, but kind of like you said, Nathan, can take you to the next level and open those floodgates. Because that's when the big bucks start happening, right?
So on the health side of the equation, Michelle, how would you recommend a coach, what's your philosophy for establishing health along with wealth?
So actually I wanted to give that question to my sister because she answers it so beautifully as we wrote a book about it.
Yeah. So in our book, we really hone in on the fact that without your health, you have nothing, right? I mean, wealth without your health is really just money sitting around in investments or your bank account, right? I always say my happiest clients are the ones that are healthy enough to enjoy their money. So I say, spending money on a personal trainer or, kind of in your line of business. I always remind Michelle, when you're speaking with a new client, remind them that they're not spending money on their health. They are investing in their health, because without your health, it doesn't matter how much wealth you have. But just like for entrepreneurs, you all have to maintain your own health too. I'm an entrepreneur myself. You it can get easy to get burnt out, get down, get just knocked, beaten down, but you got to take care of yourself. Even on my busiest days, I make sure I do the program that Michelle has set forth for me, because I'm like, this will keep my head in the game. And I don't want to get to be 85 years old with a big purse that I'm too tired, too run down, too sick to spend. Health and wealth, I just feel like they go hand in hand. You can't have one without the other. It just doesn't work. That well.
So I guess maybe in keeping with that, Amanda, I know you touched on some of them, but did you guys have any other specific strategies maybe from the book that have helped clients accomplish, let's say, balancing their health with their wealth? Like, how do you actually teach that?
So again, piggybacking off what Amanda said, it's all about really putting yourself first, honoring yourself. You can't be healthy unless you're wealthy, you can't be wealthy unless you're healthy. So just again, remembering to put yourself first. And that does mean within both your health routine and your finances as well. Because like Amanda said, you could be your nose to the grind all the time and just physically exhaust yourself. But if you're not taking care of yourself, with all that big purse that you have, then it really doesn't matter. So yeah, just putting yourself first.
Putting yourself first is huge. It is huge. And as an entrepreneur, like I said, I've hit on it a couple of times, just remembering to pay yourself first, remembering to save along the way. Cause I get it. It gets easy to just say, oh, I need that new thing. And, you know, money's going out the door real quick, but you do have to take care of yourself and make sure you're putting money away for a rainy day, and make sure that you're taking care of yourself again, physically, emotionally, mentally. Because being an entrepreneur is tough. It is, especially in a service type industry. You know, it is a luxury service, having a trainer. But I wish more people realized it's just as necessary as good food. You need someone who's going to help you take care of yourself. It's an investment.
Yeah, it 100% is. We give so much of ourselves in the service industry. It's tough to take care of yourself. On those lines, do you guys have any sort of tips around, for example, I use Mint to track my budget. Like, do you have any specific strategies around putting yourself first? Like, what would you recommend would be a good place to start, things to look at? Curious if there's anything like that comes top of mind.
Yeah, but Nathan, to your point, day-to-day budgeting, I love apps like Mint. I always say whatever's kind of easiest for you to wrap your head around, because budgeting, whether for yourself or for a business, isn't fun. No one's going to sit down and be like, yes, it's budget day. But one of the things that I really recommend, whether you're using an app, whether I personally am like old fashioned, I like to write everything down in a planner, and I kind of do what I call Finance Fridays. So every Friday I sit down and I make sure that all of my accounts are intact. Whether those are my business accounts, my personal accounts, making sure that there is no credit that's due, anything like that. I keep tabs on everything. And I think especially as a business owner, you know, if you're using QuickBooks, kind of anything like that, you need to stay on top of those things because they can quickly spiral away from you, right? You don't want to be scrambling around when tax time comes to get all of your business stuff together for your tax person. They don't like that. You don't like that, right? So I just say, just do it every Friday, or Fridays don't work for you, pick a different day where you sit down and just really x-ray through your finances, x-ray through your budget, whether it's business or personal. But any app that you're comfortable with, kind of whatever methodology you have. But I am a huge proponent for this should not be a once a month thing. Should be checking in on it frequently.
Yeah, along those lines, I had a friend who taught me the idea of having a net worth check-in monthly to look at my overall assets and liabilities, but then on a more frequent basis using the budgeting app like Mint. So,
I love it. And
it is exciting.
And, you know, if I can, like a net worth check-in where you truly list out your assets and your liabilities, or I say what you own and what you owe, is a really good way to congratulate yourself as well. Because again, in the doing, we sometimes forget everything that we're accumulating on the back end. And it is a really good way to keep yourself encouraged, right? Like, okay, accounts are building up. I am making progress. I am doing the right thing. So I love that. Nathan. That's a great recommendation.
Maybe I jump in as a financial planner next. I don't know. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it back at home as well. And if you have any comments or questions around it, we encourage you to reach out to Michelle and Amanda. But with much love here from the team at ABC Trainerize, take care and see you next time.